which was reduced to 3 pinches. 3 pinches were then pan-fried, cooked, and refined still some more. This poison was produced at last, rare as previous jewels and gems. Any person who took one taste would behold King Yama in haste. "Sisters," said the Taoist to the girls, "if I want to feed this treasure of mine to an ordinary mortal, all I need is 1,000th part of a tael, and the person will die when it reaches his stomach. Even an immortal will perish if he ingests 3,000th parts of a tael. These monks, I suppose, might be fairly accomplished in the way, and they'll need the larger dosage. Bring me a scale quickly." One of the girls quickly took up a small scale and weighed in 12,000th parts of a tael of this poison, which she then divided into 4 portions. The Taoist then took 12 red dates, into each of which he added about 1,000th part of the drug after he had crushed the dates slightly with his fingers. The 12 dates were then placed inside 4 tea mugs, while 2 black dates were placed in another tea mug. After the mugs were filled with tea and put on a tray, he said to the girls, "Let me go question them. We'll let them go if they are not from the Tang court. But if they indeed came from the court, I will ask for a change of tea, and you will send the lads out with this tea. The moment they drink this, every one of them will perish. You will be avenged, and your anguish will be relieved." The girls could not have been more grateful. Putting on a new robe to effect a show of courtesy, the Taoist walked out and asked the Tang monk and his disciples to take the guest seats once more. "Please forgive me for my absence, old master," he said. "Just now I had to go inside to give instruction for my young students to pick green vegetables and white turnips so that they could prepare a meal for you." "This humble cleric," replied Tripitaka, "came to see you with empty hands. How could I dare accept a meal from you?" Chuckling, the Taoist said, "You and I are both persons who have left the home. The moment we see an abbey's gate, we can count on receiving a little emolument. How could you mention empty hands? May I ask the old master, which monastery do you belong to? Why are you here?" "This humble cleric," said Tripitaka, "has been sent by the throne of the great Tang in the land of the East to go acquire scriptures from the great Thunderclap Monastery in the Western Heaven. We were just passing through your immortal residence, and we came in to see you in all sincerity." On hearing this, the Taoist beamed and said, "The master is a Buddha of great virtue and great piety." This humble Taoist was ignorant of this, and he was remiss in going the proper distance to wait for you. "Pardon me. Pardon me." He then called out, "Lad, go and change the tea quickly, and tell them to hurry up with the food." The little lad ran inside, and he was met by the girls, who said to him, "There's fine tea here, all prepared. Take it out." The lad indeed took out the 5 tea mugs. Immediately the Taoist presented with both hands one of the mugs containing the red dates to the Tang monk. When he saw how huge a person 8 rules was, he took him for the senior disciple, while Sha monk he regarded as the second disciple. Pilgrim, being the smallest, was taken to be the youngest disciple, and only the 4th mug was given to him. Pilgrim was exceedingly perceptive. The moment he accepted the tea mug, he saw that the one left on the tray had 2 black dates in it. "Sir," he said at once, "let me exchange my mug with yours." "To tell you the truth, elder," said the Taoist, smiling, "a poor Taoist in the mountains does not always have on hand the proper tea condiments. Just now I personally searched in the back for fruits and found only these 12 red dates, with which I made 4 mugs of tea to serve to you. Your humble Taoist did not want to fail to bear you company, and that was why I made a 5th cup of tea with dates of less desirable color. It's an expression of respect from this poor Taoist." "How could you say that?" replied Pilgrim with a chuckle. "As the ancients said, he who is at home is never poor. It's real poverty when he's on tour. You live here. How could you claim to be poor? Only mendicants like us are really poor. Let me exchange with you. Let me exchange with you." On hearing this, Tripitaka said, Wukong, this is truly the hospitality of our immortal. Drink it. Why do you want to exchange it? Pilgrim had no choice but to hold the mug in his left hand. He covered it with his right and stared at the rest of his companions. We tell you now about that 8 Rules, who was both hungry and thirsty, and he had always had a huge appetite. When he saw that there were 3 red dates in the tea, he picked them up and swallowed them in 2 gulps. His master ate them, and Sha Monk, too, ate them. In a moment, however, 8 Rules' face turned pale, tears rolled down from Sha Monk's eyes, and the Tang monk foamed at the mouth. Unable to remain in their seats, all 3 of them fainted and fell to the ground. Realizing that they had been poisoned, our great sage hurled the tea mug in his hand at the face of the Taoist. The Taoist shielded himself with upraised hand, his sleeve stopping the mug and sending it crashing to the floor. "How boorish can you be, priest?" snapped the Taoist angrily. "How dare you smash my tea mug? You beast!" scolded Pilgrim. "What do you have to say about those 3 persons of mine? What have we done to you that you should want to use poisoned tea on us?" "Yokel," said the Taoist. "You've caused great calamity. Don't you know? We've just entered your door," replied Pilgrim. "And we've barely announced where we came from. We haven't even engaged in any lofty debate. How could we cause any calamity? Didn't you beg for food at the Cobweb Cave? Didn't you bathe at the Purgation Spring?" asked the Taoist. Pilgrim said, "Those bathing in the Purgation Spring were 7 female fiends. If you mention them, you must know them, and that means you, too, have to be a monster spirit. Don't run away. Have a taste of my rod, dear great sage." He pulled out the golden hooped rod from his ear and gave it a wave. Immediately it grew to have the thickness of a rice bowl. He struck at the face of the Taoist, who stepped aside quickly to dodge the blow before meeting his opponent with a treasure sword. As the 2 of them brawled and fought, the noise aroused the female fiends inside, who surged out, crying, "Spare your efforts, elder brother. Let your sisters capture him." When Pilgrim saw them, he became angrier than ever. Wielding the iron rod with both hands, he hurled himself into their midst and attacked them wildly. All 7 of the fiends at once loosened their clothes and exposed their snow-white bellies to exercise their magic. From their navels threads and cords poured out, which became, in no time at all, a huge awning that had Pilgrim entirely covered down below. Sensing that the tide was turning against him, Pilgrim at once recited a spell and somersaulted right through the top of the awning to escape. He suppressed his anger to stand still in midair to look at those bright shiny cords produced by the fiends, weaving back and forth, up and down, as if guided by a shuttle. They formed a huge web that in an instant had the entire Yellowflower Abbey enshrouded and removed it clean out of sight. "Formidable! Formidable!" said Pilgrim to himself. "It was a good thing that I didn't fall into their hands. No wonder Ju 8 Rules fell so many times. But what shall I do now? My master and my brothers have been poisoned, and I have no idea even of the background of these fiends who have banded themselves together. I'd better go and question that local spirit once more. Dear great sage." He lowered his cloud, made the magic sign with his fingers, and recited a spell beginning with the letter O to summon once more the local spirit. Trembling all over, the aged god knelt by the road and kowtowed, saying, "Great sage, you were going to rescue your master. Why did you turn back here?" "We did manage to rescue my master earlier," said Pilgrim. "But we ran into a Yellowflower Abbey not far from where we left you. We went inside with our master to have a look, and we were met by the Abbey master. As we visited with him, my master and my brothers were poisoned by his tea. Luckily, I didn't drink it and I attacked him with my rod." He began to talk about begging food at the Cobweb Cave and bathing in the Purgation Spring, and I knew that that fellow was also a fiend. Just as we were fighting, the 7 girls came out and emitted their silk cords, but Old Monkey was smart enough to escape. Since you have been a god here for some time, I thought you must know their background. What kind of monster spirits are they? Tell me the truth, and I'll spare you a beating." Kowtowing, the local spirit said, "The monster spirits haven't quite lived here for a decade. This humble deity made some investigation 3 years ago and uncovered their original form. They are 7 spider spirits. Those silk cords they produce happen to be cobwebs." Delighted by what he heard, Pilgrim said, "If what you say is true, it's nothing unmanageable. You go back and let me exercise my magic to bring them to submission." After one more kowtow, the local spirit left. Pilgrim went up to the Yellow Flower Abbey and pulled off from his tail 70 pieces of hair. Blowing a mouthful of immortal breath on them, he cried, "Change." They changed into 70 small pilgrims. Then he blew also on the golden hooped rod, crying, "Change." And it changed into 70 rods forked at one end. To each of the small pilgrims he gave one of these rods, while he himself took up one also. They stood by the mass of silk cords and plunged the rods into the web. At a given signal, they all snapped the cords and then rolled them up with their rods. After each of them had rolled up over 10 pounds of the cords, they dragged out from inside 7 huge spiders, each about the size of a barrel.